color of the sky. It scares me.
Zaragoza dropped the burrito, a mango, and a container of water into a plastic yellow bag, the kind the local tienda used for groceries. Such bags, so often carelessly discarded, always seemed to find the thorny branches of palo verde trees and palo adans and mesquites that grew along the southern Baja California coastline. Zaragoza patted the boy on the shoulder.
It is good to know fear, Manolin. Many of my compadres did not, and they no longer share the sea with me. But the fish will hide if the sea is rough. Perhaps.
Zaragoza's smile lifted his heavy gray beard.
But I know their secrets, and I will set my nets early, so that after school I can take you to the market for ice cream. Fresa con caramelo, no?
Manolin hugged his grandfather.
Promise me you will learn something new today, and teach me when I return. I promise,
Manolin said. Zaragoza shuffled through the opening and into the familiar murk of dawn. He felt the briny mist from the waves and smelled the seaweed forced ashore in great clumps. His senses took in the kelp patties decomposing into nutrient-rich homes for the sea lice and sand fleas and the armies of blue crabs that patrolled the beach at night. Zaragoza stepped around a fresh mound of kelp and felt the thimble-sized husks crush beneath his feet. The roving sandpipers and tattlers had pecked clean the soft-shelled crustaceans. Above him a pair of seagulls screeched and wheeled into the rising wind. A lone sea lion barked in the distance. With his lunch looped around a crooked finger and slung across his shoulder, Zaragoza approached the makeshift marina where his panga lay anchored in the shallows. He boarded the small canoe-shaped boat and motored toward Isla San Jose, a mountainous island 15 miles from the village. The wind had not subsided, and waves slapped against the panga's hull, forming wings of mist that flew across the bow. An hour later, as the sun climbed a wall of dark, cumulus clouds, Zaragoza set his net near the cactus-strewn island, then creased an empty potato sack and wrapped it around his neck like a shawl. For 3 hours he hauled the old net, but managed only a handful of mullet and 2 small stingrays that he released unharmed. Moving around the island, he found a lee from the wind near some cliffs and a small beach, and there he ate his lunch. The sun had risen above the clouds now, and the wind blew fiercely out beyond the lee, but the storm was moving toward the mountains like he'd told his grandson, and he crossed himself, giving thanks to La Virgin de Guadalupe. He drank sparingly from his water jug and glanced out at the white-capped sea, surprised that the other penjeros had not yet fanned across the horizon. But the roiling waves made viewing difficult, and his eyes were not as keen anymore. He studied the calmer water at the edge of the lee and noticed a slight discoloration near the current break. It was a shallow reef, not much more than a soccer field from the island. As he set his net over the mossy shadows of coral and rock, he crossed himself again. It had been years since he'd fished so close to shore, preferring the deeper seamounts and rising banks with the giant trevally and schooling yellowtail mast, as though beckoned to a great feast. He dozed for an hour, and when he awoke, the sun had slipped behind a thick canvas of clouds. He hauled the net. It was empty but for some seagrass and a small eel that wriggled free and threaded the water like a lost necklace. But then the last of the nylon netting came over the transom with a clunk, and Zaragoza looked down to see a softball-sized shell covered in barnacles. His tired eyes widened, and he quickly untangled the catch, cradling it in his hands like something fragile.
Gracias, Dios,
he muttered and kissed the prize, setting it gently to the thwart. Pearl oysters were thought extinct in the Sea of Cortez, decimated centuries ago by the greedy Spaniards and their fleets of deadly galleons. But a few beds remained, protected by the ghost of Mechudo, the young diver drowned in the jaws of a giant oyster.